Hello guys, it's Ben here. I'm back with another video for you, and this is my first review of the season. As uh, Tottenham Hotspur got off to a very, very bad start to the season, losing 3-0 away to Brentford on Saturday night. Obviously, it's a bit of a gut punch, a bit of a reality check from for all of us. We obviously were coming into the game with a lot of enthusiasm, and hope of quite a good season ahead, especially considering this summer of activity in the transfer market that we've had, and but also that there was a little bit of a realistic, it might take a little bit of time to get this team going together, but uh, still, we'll get into it as we go through. But I think we can highlight what specifically went wrong yesterday, and what needs to be done to fix it all. So let's get into the lineup. Roberto De Zerbi went with the same team that started the last preseason friendly against Hoffenheim. Kinski in goal. The back four consisting of new signings John Paul Van Hecken, Marcos Sense, and Andy Robertson, with Archie Grew chosen to be the deputy right back. The midfield consisting of both Sandro Tonali and Lucas Bergval, and the forward um, line consisting of Matthias Tell, and Conor Gallagher, helping up with Mikey Moore, the young teenage sensation, with Richarlison up front. And even from the start of the game, you could see um, Brentford were very well drilled. I mean, they've had a brilliant season last year. Keith Andrews has taken the step up from assistant to a manager with like a duck to water. He's done excellent with them. And I think it shows the difference between a team who's settled, who everyone knows each other, and a team who's still finding their way. And it can't be understated. Do have players missing, but even so, you know that doesn't excuse some of the poor play that we saw right from the word go. Brentford had chances. Collins missed a good header earlier on in the game, and then again had another chance of another corner which they hit the crossbar from, until eventually they do get the breakthrough when Sangria, the new signing, plays a 1-2, cuts it back. There's in the box to King Lewis Potter, who slots it home past Kinski to make it 1-0. So that was a setback. That goal, that's sort of quality that any Premier League side can have. So you take those as they come. Brentford's second goal, on the other hand, though, is a different story. Kinski plays it out from a goal kick to Richarlison, who really under minimal pressure tumbles to the floor looking for a free kick. While he's wasting his time rolling around, moaning to the ref. Brentford break through the line again. Janssen, who intercepted Richarlison to win the ball, fires his shot at goal. Kinski saves it. The rebound is seemingly not picked up by anyone except Yanel, who slots it home to make it 2-0. And at that point, it's really an uphill, battle. Brentford just keep piling on the pressure, and we get to half time, and you're just hoping that they'll bring some substitutions on. Hopefully we can get something into this game. And we did actually make substitutions at half time. Both James Madison and Rodrigo Bentancur came on. Um, However, it didn't do enough of a difference, and certainly not for the last goal. Brentford from a corner whip it to the back post. It gets played back to the edge of the box, and Sangris has another shot, which again is blocked on the line, and again is tapped in home to make it 3-0. And then a few minutes later, Bentacle commits a foul in the area and gives away a penalty, which Thiago steps up and mercifully sends Kings to the wrong way, but as if it hits the post. So, and then ironically, the team seemed Mikey Moore has two very gilt-edged opportunities to put, to get the ball in the net, and both times he just passes it back pretty much straight to the keeper. Um, I'm not sure it could have made a difference, but if one of those two go in, If it goes 3-1, miss penalty, and then we score at the other end. But those are the chances that need to be buried, and at any level, and Mikey didn't do it. So unfortunately, that's just the truth of that. Uh, I mean, nothing else happens really in the game. We don't create anything. Brentford just keep us at an arm's length the whole way through, and the game finishes 3-0 to Brentford, and fully deserved as well. So Brentford, well done. Um, on the point of us, there's a few critical points from the game that need to be mentioned. First of all, that isn't even close to the best 11 that we've got. You look at that lineup. You look at who you can fit in when everyone's fit. Madison, Mateus Fernandez, who came on as a substitute as well, and arguably looked the best player we had. Uh, you think of Xavi Simmons, who's still to come back. You think Kudus, who's to come back as well. You just that alone. Pedro Porro, who's just come back from winning the World Cup with Spain. Van de Ven, who missed out. You know, that's minimum 5 or 6 starters instantly who come into that team and change it. So you've got that to consider. So it's not a full strength side. It's still a lot of the players who were responsible for the bad, pathetic performances we've seen over the last couple of seasons. So there's that you've got to take into consideration. Um, there's also the fact that some of these players really need to go, and some of them are just not really going to. As it pains me to say, they're just not. I mean, Richarlison, I do try to not dig out individuals, but how much he was rolling around on the floor, just minimal contact as well. It just was relentless, and it was just numbing to watch. Like there just seemed to be no link up play, no attempt to help his forwards out, and just no striking support at all. Uh, Other point, Archie Gurry is not a right back, and we need another. Obviously we know Pedro Porro is number one in that position, but we need a cover of some kind because the amount of times he was caught out of position, not on the ball, off the ball, the amount of space that Brentford got in behind him so many times in the game was just. It, like I did feel almost a little bit sorry for him because it's not his natural position, so square peg in a round hole, but still, that's something that needs to be addressed quickly. And the big glaring problem is the forward line, the lack of movement, the lack of goal threat, the lack of, it's all well and good fixing the defensive midfield, which we have done, but, we need somebody on the end of those, and luckily with the news of both Savinho, who's seemingly finally on his way to Spurs, and also Omar Mamouche, who today's been confirmed, well, as near as close enough to be confirmed that he's coming to Spurs as well now. Um, that is certainly a big chink of light, you know, going ahead. And the last real big point is that this is a new team, effectively. It's kind of been overlooked. Brentford had a team who was settled, who, as I said, everyone knows everyone basically. They've recruited smartly, and they've got a synchronization, of everyone who knows the team very well. You know, it realistically is not going to click into place for us, not instantly as well. It's going to take a few games to get, you know, these new partnerships, these new players. When you have to build essentially a new team, which is kind of essentially what Zerbi is doing. When you bring 7, 8 new players, first team players as well, all in together at the same time. We've seen in the past. It's you think back to you know summer of 2013 when the so famous AVB7, with Ericsson, Paulinho, Soldado, Chadley, Lamella, Kirikesh, Kapue, all of those guys, when they all came in, and it, it didn't click together for them, and it might click for this new group. It might do, but it's not. It's realistically not going to click together at once. It's going to take a few games for them to get together. And luckily, we have an opportunity now this week. We play Charlton on Wednesday night in the League Cup. It's a decent home tie for us. An opportunity to build a little bit of you know momentum up for the first home Premier League game of the season next Saturday against Newcastle. And so we've got to look forward to that, and just you know, if we're going to win there, maybe Savino and Marmoush will maybe be ready in time for Saturday now, because and if they are, it can't come soon enough. But disappointed and frustrated, yes. But thinking it's the end of the world, it's one game down, it's 37 to go. Um, but we can only hope it gets better from here. Anyway, that's what I think, guys. What do you make of it all? What do you think needs improving the most? Do you agree or disagree that we need, better attackers? Is there another area you think we can improve on? Let me know what you guys think, as always. And again, thank you again for enjoying the new content over the season, guys, and I hope there's more to come for you. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you soon, and as always, come on, you Spurs.